Hi, and welcome to Viral Hound's disturbing vintage Halloween costumes video. Before we begin, if you would, like, subscribe and share this video with your friends and family, I would really appreciate it. The wearing of costumes at Halloween may come from the belief that supernatural beings, or the souls of the dead, roam the earth at this time. The practice may have originated in a Celtic festival, held on 31st October to 1st November, to mark the beginning of winter. It was called Samhain in Ireland, Scotland and the Isle of Man, and Caelangaeth in Wales, Cornwall and Brittany. The festival is believed to have pre-Christian roots. After the Christianization of Ireland in the 5th century, some of these customs may have been retained in the Christian observance of All Hallows Eve, in that region, which continued to be called Samhain, Caelangaeth, blending the traditions of their ancestors with Christian ones. It was seen as a liminal time, when the spirits or fairies, the Osa, and the souls of the dead, could more easily come into our world. It was believed that the Osa needed to be propitiated to ensure that the people and their livestock survived the winter. From at least the 16th century, the festival included mumming and guising, which involved people going house to house in costume, or in disguise, usually reciting verses or songs in exchange for food. It may have originally been a tradition whereby people impersonated the Osa, or the souls of the dead, and received offerings on their behalf. Impersonating these beings, or wearing a disguise, was also believed to protect oneself from them. It is suggested that the mummers and guisers personified the old spirits of the winter, who demanded reward in exchange for good fortune. F. Marion McNeil suggests the ancient pagan festival included people wearing masks or costumes to represent the spirits, and that faces were marked, or blackened, with ashes taken from the sacred bonfire. In parts of southern Ireland, a man dressed as a Lairban, white mare, led youths house to house reciting verses, some of which had pagan overtones, in exchange for food. If the household donated food, it could expect good fortune from the Mekla. Not doing so would bring misfortune. In 19th century Scotland, youths went house to house with masked, painted or blackened faces, often threatening to do mischief if they were not welcomed. In parts of Wales, men went about dressed as fearsome beings called gwrachod, while in some places, young people cross-dressed. Elsewhere in Europe, mumming and costumes were part of other yearly festivals. However, in the Celtic-speaking regions they were particularly appropriate to a night upon which supernatural beings were said to be abroad and could be imitated or warded off by human wanderers. It has also been suggested that the wearing of Halloween costumes developed from the custom of souling, which was practiced by Christians in parts of Western Europe from at least the 15th century. At All Hallowtide, groups of poor people would go door to door, collecting soul cakes either as representatives of the dead, or in return for saying prayers for them. One 19th century English writer said it used to consist of parties of children, dressed up in fantastic costume, who went round to the farmhouses and cottages, singing a song, and begging for cakes, spoken of as soul cakes, apples, money, or anything that the good wives would give them. The slurs typically asked for mercy on all Christian souls for a soul cake. The practice was mentioned by Shakespeare. His play The Two Gentlemen of Verona, 1593. Christian minister Prince Zorikantor wrote on the wearing of costumes. It was traditionally believed that the souls of the departed wandered the earth until All Saints' Day, and All Hallows' Eve provided one last chance for the dead to gain vengeance on their enemies before moving to the next world. In order to avoid being recognized by any soul that might be seeking such vengeance, people would don masks or costumes to disguise their identities. In the Middle Ages, statues and relics of martyred saints were paraded through the streets at All Hallowtide. Some churches who could not afford these things had people dress as saints instead. Some believers continue the practice of dressing as saints, biblical figures, and reformers in Halloween celebrations today. Many Christians in continental Europe, especially in France, believe that on Halloween the dead of the churchyards rose for one wild, hideous carnival, known as the Dance Macabre, which has often been depicted in church decoration. An article published by Christianity Today claimed the Dance Macabre was enacted at village pageants and at court masques, with people dressing up as corpses from various strata of society, and suggested this was the origin of Halloween costume parties. The custom of guising at Halloween in North America is first recorded in 1911, where a newspaper in Kingston, Ontario reported children going guising around the neighborhood. In 19th century America, Halloween was often celebrated with costume parades and licentious revelries. However, efforts were made to domesticate the festival to conform with Victorian-era morality. Halloween was made into a private rather than public holiday, celebrations involving liquor and sensuality de-emphasized, and only children were expected to celebrate the festival. Early Halloween costumes emphasized the gothic nature of Halloween, and were aimed primarily at children. Costumes were also made at home, or using items, such as makeup, which could be purchased and utilized to create a costume. But in the 1930s, as Fishbuck, Ben Cooper, Incorporated, and other firms began mass-producing Halloween costumes for sale in stores as trick-or-treating became popular in North America. Halloween costumes are often designed to imitate supernatural and scary beings. Costumes are traditionally those of monsters such as vampires, werewolves, zombies, ghosts, skeletons, witches, goblins, trolls, devils, etc., or in more recent years such science fiction inspired characters as aliens and superheroes. There are also costumes of pop culture figures like presidents, athletes, celebrities, or characters in film, television, literature, etc. Another popular trend is for women, and in some cases, men, to use Halloween as an excuse to wear sexy or revealing costumes, showing off more skin than would be socially acceptable otherwise. Young girls also often dress as entirely non-scary characters at Halloween, including princesses, fairies, angels, cute animals and flowers. Halloween costume parties generally take place on or around October 31st, often on the Friday or Saturday prior to the holiday. Halloween parties are the third most popular type of party held in Western countries, falling behind only to Super Bowl and New Year's Eve parties.